Hello everybody and welcome back. It is Marissa. I have a voice back today, although it is still a little bit husky froggy. Yesterday was really bad, so that's why you did not get a video on Sunday or Monday. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go with part 2, your second tutorial on how to add your second strip on. So what you can see here, this is my strip. So obviously it's folded in half. So this down here, this is our very starting point where we first started the blanket. And then I have my marker still in here so I know which side to decrease on. So I'm just going to kind of show you. So there's the end. And you can kind of see how it goes. These colors are very kind of 80s colors, which I actually really liked. I don't know why they reminded me of 80s, but they did. So my strip is over 60 inches long. I think it's probably about 65 inches long so far. And we still have to do the ending of it. So what we're going to do here is, this is where the last color was. I did my 8 rows. And so what we need to do is we still need to go ahead and put the last color on. Now the color you started with should have been your neutral color if you're doing the 5 colors. And the color that you end with on this row should also be your neutral color, and that holds true for pretty much every row, almost every row. So we're going to go in with our black, and this may be kind of hard to see. I do have the lamp on, so hopefully you guys will be able to see this. And basically what we're going to do here is, the way that we've been decreasing on that one side where we've been maintaining that straight edge, we are now going to be doing that on both sides of the blanket, okay? So you're going to go ahead and attach your color, and you're only going to chain up. In fact, I did that wrong. We're going to cut that part out. So when you attach your color, if I do my slip knot correctly, you want to attach it. Instead of attaching here in the corner where we have been attaching it, you actually want to attach it in your chain 3 space up here where you ended your last color. So you put it into the chain 3 space, do a slip knot and chain up 3. That's, you know, just the same way you've been attaching your colors. And then you do your normal crochet to the other end of this row. So there's my 3. Okay, so we are now back. We're going to attach that just like we normally would. So right here, this side is where we've been maintaining our growth. This side of here is where we've been maintaining our edge. So we're just going to continue to maintain that edge on both sides. So this step right here, where you turn and you crochet into the top of each of those until you get back to your slip stitch, and you chain up 3. We're going to do that on both sides now, and your blanket will eventually X off, or not X off, square off. So this part I'm going to speed up for you. I will do this on camera for you so that you can see it happening. And I will meet you back at the corner, and I will show you how to start your second row and how to add that and join as you go. Okay, so that last part there, when I finished the square here, you can actually just finish it there. I just like to finish in the corners because I'm a little OCD like that. So, I now have one finished strip. You see that didn't take very long. Hopefully it won't take you that long. So this is our one finished strip. So you can see there's that end. Slide it all the way back down. This is where we started. So what you're going to want to do is we're going to start the next row where we ended. Okay, so this is where we just ended here. Now we're going to start the next row in the same place. So you're going to go back to, we just did our neutral color. So you're going to start the next row if you're following the pattern exactly with color A. Okay, so let me just spin that around so I can get to my color A. So what you're going to do, and what I'm going to recommend is we've been crocheting kind of like this, and you're kind of flipping it back and forth. You're actually going to turn this on the side, and we're going to kind of be crocheting at a weird angle here. So this is going to feel weird, even to the experienced crocheters. This is going to feel kind of weird, but just kind of go with it, and we're going to make it work. So where you just ended, you're going to find a chain hook there, and you're going to put your hook through it, just like so, and slip stitch to that corner, somewhere in that corner, okay? You can do it however you would like to do it. Then what you're going to do is you're going to chain 3. So 1, 2, 3. And then in here, in your crochet, the way we've been doing this, you have clusters. So you can kind of see your clusters, and then you see the spaces between your clusters, right? So what you're going to do is you're going to find your first cluster. So there's my first cluster, there's my space, and then there's my second cluster. Now what you're going to notice in corner to corner, if you look at it, if you really take the time to look at it, and I'm going to show you in this lighter color because it's easier to see. If you notice, these stitches are going this way and these stitches are going this way, okay? So if you did this correctly, it should be horizontal, or sorry, vertical, horizontal, vertical, horizontal, vertical, and so on and so forth. So they should be alternating. And the reason for that is because you kept flipping your pattern back and forth. So you're going the opposite direction when you're laying those in. So what we're going to do here is we have to make up for that. Now, what you're going to be doing is we're going to be attaching through here. So in that space between your cluster, I'm going to call it a cluster space, you are going to take your chain 3 and you are going to slip stitch, okay? Now, my pattern tester did not like the way that that looked on her blanket, so I'm going to give you another option. So if you don't like the way that looks, because you will end up being able to see this purple just here over the sides of the black, if you pull it apart far enough, do you see that space right there, that chain space? Instead of going here, you can go into that chain space and your stitch won't be as visible. So that's what she has been doing, is going into that chain space. Now, if you are a tight crocheter, that space may be difficult to get into. Just a warning for you, you can do either one. I find it easier to go in here than to try to find the chain space every time. It's personal preference. Okay, so then you're going to chain up 3 again. So what I did, let me pull that back out. So you're going to slip stitch your new color on and then chain up 3. Like so, okay? Then you're going to, whoops, if I learn to count to 3, then in between your first cluster and your second cluster on this edge, and this is the long edge, not the short edge, you're going to slip stitch and then you're going to chain up 3. Okay? So what we just laid down is actually the thing that we're going to be stitching into. So you see right here, because of that horizontal vertical turning, you have the chain spaces, but you don't have a chain like this to stitch into. So you have those spaces there, the stitches, but you don't have a chain space. So we are going to make a chain space. That's what we just did. And we're going to do that every time you come back and you're touching along this side. We're going to create our chain space for our next row to go on to. So then what you're going to do is you're going to flip your work. Okay? And then you're going to do 3 double crochets in between this purple and this black into that chain space. So there's 1, there's 2, and there's 3, okay? And that is going to create your cluster. All right? Now, just like we were doing before we started decreasing, we're building again. So when you're building again and you get to an edge, you have to chain up 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? And then we're going to go back to our third chain from the hook, or third chain from the bottom, and do do our 3 double crochets just like we had been doing before. And my hands are not liking the crochet tonight, so I apologize. I've been making a lot of errors. So what you have is you then have 2 clusters that look like this. So what you're going to do is you're going to flip this one this way. You can kind of hold it in that hand. And what you're going to do is you're going to pull over, and right here is where you're going to slip stitch into. So there's our slip stitch there. And that's going to join those 2 clusters, okay? And just like we've been doing, whenever you join 2 clusters, you chain up 3. And then you do 3 double crochets into this chain space. So there's 1, there's 2, and there's 3. Now, we are back over to our edge of our already made blanket. So what you're going to do is, this is the corner. This is where we did our first row where we attached it there, remember, and then we went backwards. So what you're going to do is between the 3rd and the 4th cluster, you're going to find that space, and that is where we're going to attach this row, because we came up a row. So we made a row here. This is the 2nd row. Now we're going to have to come up to where our 3rd cluster is. So you're going to go in between those 2 clusters there, slip stitch to join it to the blanket. This is why it's called join as you go, because otherwise we would make strips and then we would sew them all together, which if you can't figure this out, let me know and I will tell you how to join them together. It's not hard. It just involves a lot of sewing, and I prefer to do it this way because you have a blanket forming as you go instead of strips. Okay, so each time that you come back to this edge, you're going to go up a cluster to increase your stitches. So now we've got to lay down a foundation chain here because we don't have one for our next row. So you're going to chain 3, go to the next cluster space, slip stitch, chain 3, flip your work. Three double crochets, and then connect your clusters. 3 double crochet, or 3 chain 3, 3 double crochets, slip stitch, chain 3, 3 double crochets. Okay, so now we're on this short edge here, and the short edge is where we're going to increase. So we're going to chain 6 and go back the next direction. Okay, so we're here again. We need to flip our work so that we can come back the other direction. Take our cluster, slip stitch, chain 3, 3 double crochets. If I can make my hands work. So we're back to our edge here. So this is where we went in the last time. So let's find our next cluster space, which is here. Slip stitch, chain 3, next cluster space, slip stitch, chain 3. Okay, and then we're going to repeat. And you're going to keep repeating until you get up to here, because this is 8 rows, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is 7 rows. So you're actually going to go to this first cluster here. So this one needs to be 8 rows out and 8 rows tall to keep your blanket on track, because remember, everything else is 8. This one is 7 to be able to close it off. Okay, so I'm going to keep going, and I will meet you back to that point where we get ready to change our colors again. Okay, so what you're going to do is right here is actually where we're going to change color. Okay, the reason that I did it this way is because if we don't change color here, if we do our square here, it's going to throw our color matching off. So right here is actually where we're going to go ahead and change color, and we're going to pick up the next row there. So that's a weird spot, but that's where we're going to do it. Okay, so it's still wide enough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're actually going to start maintaining this side over here just like we were before, because it only needs to be 8 clusters wide. So this is your row of your second strip. So this is 8 wide. This one needs to be 8 wide, okay? So when you go to add your neutral color, You're going to add it on here. And I made it too tight that time. So chain your 3 and then do your 3 doubles. And now that you're there, we're going to find our cluster spaces and add on and continue like that for the rest of the strip. You're going to maintain your color choices, okay? So you're still going to go neutral color A, neutral color A, neutral color B, neutral color C, neutral color D, neutral, all right? So if you need questions or if you have questions about that, make sure that you look at the instruction sheet. I have not added this second part of the instructions on. I will go back and watch the video and add those on in the next couple of days. But basically, that's how you're going to add your second strip and all of the other strips going so far. Now, when we get back to the end, there will be a third tutorial because we're going to be going the opposite direction. So if you notice, our stitches are going this way, and on this side they're going this way. It's kind of hard to explain until you see it, but your stitches are going different directions. So you can see what I was talking about here, about how you can see those joining stitches in between. If you don't like that, I personally do, but if you don't like that, use that chain space that I mentioned at the very beginning, and stop when you get to the end of the second row if you make it that far. And if you have any questions, you guys, again, feel free to contact me. I'm on YouTube as the Crafty Heifer. You can always leave a comment in the video below. I love reading comments. You can contact me on Instagram if you have questions there. I'm the Crafty Heifer on Instagram. Contact me on Facebook. My name is Marissa McCartney. I'll be happy to help you on Facebook if you want to contact me. Any of those ways are very, very helpful if you have a specific question about this particular crochet along. We do have the DP-a-thon this weekend. Don't forget. That is coming up in a couple of days, so that's going to be pretty much all my time, and I'll go over this again in the video tomorrow. But DP-a-thon is going to pretty much take up the rest of my week. And then we will start talking more about this and more about the retreat and some of the other projects that I have coming down the pipeline. Please don't forget, if you liked this video, if you followed it, if it looks like something interesting to you, or if you want to learn more, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, ring the little bell to get the notifications. I hope that you do like what you see, and I hope that you return again. So until I see you guys next time, which is tomorrow, by the way, for my live stream, Wednesdays at 7, we're going to crochet together, have a little crochet circle. If you would like to join us for that, I'm more than happy to answer questions there as well. Remember to write your questions down and bring them to the crochet along. But tonight I'm going to go drink some more stuff because, as you can tell, my throat's starting to get a little scratchy again. And I think I'm going to read a book. Book sounds good. So I will see you guys tomorrow. I hope that you come and visit with us if you have the chance. And until I see you again, remember to craft like somebody left the barn door open. Bye, guys.